As architects, we were always quite clear of our approach in all the projects that we do, that the context is the king. Hi, I'm George. I'm the design director at Stapati, an architectural firm in India. This is a project for me and my wife and my little fellow. The site sort of dictated everything that we wanted to do in this project. Right from the area that we need to build in the property, because there was only one bald spot so that we didn't have to cut any of those mango trees. We've used the entire soil that we excavated to build all the walls. The rocks that we needed was also sourced from the nearby site because it was a rocky space already. When you drive in, you actually pass through the entire mango grove. Though that was a larger part of the property, we've sort of oriented the house looking towards the south, just so that we don't lose great depth. We designed the main door in such a way that one, it acts like a single main door, or you could completely open that entire facade out. The house is called the Matchbox House for a particular reason, because it actually works like a matchbox. There are these two boxes, one being the private space and one being the semi-private space. Sort of works very well as it inserts into each other. The essential larger portion of the matchbox was completely built out of rammed earth wall, creating this massive double height volume space. The entire house was completely an open space. Every furniture placed in a way that suits us, right from the living room furniture to the dining room furniture and things like that. The only freestanding wall in this entire house is this wall parallel to the dining table. What was interesting is that we wanted to initially do an artwork on the wall, but we also had a conflict of a light that's needed for the dining table. We said, why not create a light which sort of looks like an artwork by itself? The private spaces are the smaller portion of the matchbox. It's a little more intimate, it's a little more private. It's got its own private courtyards. They have these high walls that creates the privacy that's needed for the bedroom. There is a mezzanine on top, which works very well, especially for my little fellow. That is essentially his playground. To access the mezzanine, we've concealed the staircase behind the wall that has the built-in seating for the dining table. That sort of element of surprise was very important for us to hold. The mezzanine sort of opens out into a larger balcony. The courtyard for the bedrooms down now becomes this lush green sort of buffer for the balcony as well. So we found a space under this mango tree, which perfectly worked right in front of the living room, such that we could just walk out of the living room and go straight and sit outside. The span sort of needed us to work on an interesting roof. We had concerns with regards to time. We had concerns in regards to how much concrete we wanted to use. What was interesting about this jack arch roof was that this sort of created the needed ventilation system on top. The hot air sort of always finds its way to exit out of these tiny arched windows. A lot of decisions were taken at site as well. One of the decisions is to just have very minimum windows in the east and the west wall. I think the beauty of the rammed earth was important to be seen. One thing which I was very clear was that I didn't want the house to look like a conventional farmhouse. One, it was very important that it merges well with its surroundings. It sits very well in its context. It sort of camouflages into the entire context. As you move away from that, it sort of looks like this entire land itself sort of continues as form of a house, and it sort of just hides within the entire ecosystem around. The Matchbox House was an interesting project for me, not because it's just my own space. It was also because it is important for me to walk the talk. For me, it was very important that it's designed in a way that I believe what architecture means to me.